So I'm going to start with a quote from our Strong Women campaign, which is actually on one of these billboards over there. Quote, after a lifetime of being told to eat less, stick to cardio, and shrink ourselves, we're seeing women fill up their plates, pick up the weights, and step into their power. End quote. What do you think about that, Vonda?
No. I could stand here and preach to you all day, but the thing I want you to know is that how I feel about that is who said that we can only be this big? Who said that, like so many women I take care of, and I ask them, how much protein are you getting? And I eat one meal a day. I don't want high volumes. And I just want to encourage you that you are worth taking up some space. You are worth being strong. And what we have to avoid is the future that I see in my orthopedic practice, which is 1 in 2 of us will have an osteoporotic fracture unless we step in front of it. 1 in 3 of us will end up in a nursing home. And I say, not on my watch.
So, so how do we get there?
Well, I think in a crowd like this, you obviously already know how to get there. But I want to encourage you that there is a lot of information. There's a lot of confusing things. There's a lot of voices. But investing in your health every day is not rocket science. And I think most of us in the longevity space would agree that 80 to 90% of what we can do to not only live longer, but to live better longer is simple. Can we please move? Can we please move and lift heavy weights, right? There is no room in a woman's life for mamby-pamby pink weights, and I will continue to say that every day, number 1. Number 2, you deserve to eat and feed your bodies. You will not stay strong by relying on what you did until you were 30, because 30 is the beginning of life, young people. And I'm going to tell you, at nearly twice that age, it gets better every year if you invest yourself. So you're going to lift weights, you're going to feed yourself, and you're going to stop killing yourself 7 days a week in only high-intensity interval training, because what's going to happen is you're going to end up worn out and rusted out in this orthopedic surgeon's office. You need to mix up your cardio, do low base training, do days of high intensity, but not every day. It's not how pro athletes train, and therefore you don't have to do it either. It's 3 things.
So to build off of that, you have got a great acronym you use. FACE. F, flexibility. A, aerobic exercise. C, carrying a load. And then E, equilibrium.
So I found when I started writing, my first book was out in 2006 or 8, a long time ago. I found that it's easier if you can remember what to do with an acronym. So F for flexibility and mobility, which we're doing next. If we do not maintain muscles at full length, they will not be as effective. If we do not assist our joints to move through full range of motion, which is an everyday practice, we will not be as effective at A, which is aerobic training. Now, I personally, if you watch me, you know that I currently and will always now encourage you to do 2 ends of aerobic training. Walking every single day, preferably after your biggest meal so that your muscles suck up the glucose, and twice a week, sprint as hard as you can to get your heart rate up as hard as you can. It doesn't have to be running. I'm not saying be Usain Bolt. I am saying get your heart rate up so it stimulates your body to know you're alive, and frankly will stimulate your muscle stem cells. So that's A. C, carry a load. I specifically do not say go weight lift, although that is what I encourage you to do, because I believe we can carry weights in a lot of different ways. And finally, E, equilibrium and balance. In general, we do not break and then fall. We fall and then break. So if I can help you learn to rebalance and stay upright and not trip and fall, you'll go a long way. And that's what FACE is about. It's easy.
So we're going to talk about tripping and falling with Juliet, but one of the things you got to protect yourself from that fall. Yeah, it's going to be me tripping and falling. Will be demo. Watch. Bone health. Let's talk about bone health, because you were touching on osteoporosis. We're talking about falling, bone health.
When was the last time you actually noticed your bones? Right? Maybe this morning. Oh, beautiful cheekbones. Oh, look at these clavicles that are holding up my dress so beautifully. But the fact of the matter is, most of us don't think about our bones until we break one, and then we're forced to think about them. And that's a good reason to think about them. But the fact of the matter is that without bones, muscle is just a heaping pile of smoking metabolic tissue without form, right? So it gives us our human form. It is the storehouse of vitamins and minerals. It makes all your immune cells in your pelvis and your long bones, right? On top of that, here's another reason you need to love your bones. It is a master communicator. When you jump up and down and use your bones are secreting a protein called osteocalcin, which goes to your brain and makes brain cells. It goes to your pancreas and muscles and helps you digest your glucose. And if you're a man, it goes to your testicles and helps you make testosterone. So bones are remarkable, but we only get one set, and we reach peak bone density at 30. Now, we continually dynamically replace them if we do the work, right? Every 10 years, you're replacing your bone, but only if you do the work, which is impact exercise, which is feeding them. So obviously, I think bone is the key. You can build all the muscles you want, but if you have weak bones, you will still fall and break. So it's not enough.
So let's talk about feeding our bones and maybe approach it by decade. How should we be thinking about feeding our bones, 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond?
I think for 20 and 30-year-olds in the room, I think it is now the time to develop the habits that will last your lifetime, so that we're not just on another 6-week diet, another plan, it's just how we live. When I pile on lifestyle, layer on lifestyle for my people, it seems like a lot, but once it's how you live, it's easy. It's just how you live, right? So 20s and 30s, please do that. If you were a woman who maybe wasn't as active in your youth as you know you should be, now's the time to do it, all the things. If you are a woman who are extremely active in your youth, like I take care of college athletes, pro athletes, and sometimes they will not have had a period for 6 or 9 months because they're underfeeding. When you don't have a regular menstrual cycle, you will not be laying down bone. So now is the time, 20 to 30, to get things going. 30 to 40, I call it the critical frigging decade. Because at 40 and 45 is when, for women, our hormones go chaotically. So until that time, we have a monthly cycle of peaks and lows of hormones. At 40, because we have so few eggs left, it becomes a zone of chaos, and we start breaking down. So 30 to 40, it's the time to get our health. It's critical. 40 to 50, it's never too late. There are 5 things I want you to do in your menolescence, which is the term I use for the transition from adolescence, matrescence, the reproductive years, to the rest of your life. Number 1, pivot our mindset. We have got to stop worshiping what it was like to be 25. Listen, I was 25 once, and it was easy compared. So remember it. I always look over my left shoulder. Remember it. Be happy about it. But it is the beginning of your life. So we've got to pivot our mindset that the best is yet to come. Number 1. Number 2, become literate about midlife, right? Midlife starts at 38, people. It's the rest of your life. So let's become literate about what it's like to live in this body. Number 3, every single person deserves to make the choice about their hormone optimization therapy. I'm not telling you have to, but you have to make the decision based on science, not fear. Number 4, can you please develop an unbreakable lifestyle like you're going to be hearing about today, because you are worth it.
So let's talk about feeding our bodies.
Oh, I got away from that. Sorry.
Yeah.
That was your question.
How to
feed, right?
Yes.
Well, when I question women in my clinic, and I add up their calories, it's usually about 1,000 calories a day. Most women's basal metabolic rates on the really low side are about 1,200, right? If a really healthy one is more fit with enough muscle is 15, 18, 2,000 a day. So we're underfeeding. So we need to add protein to our lives, right? To stimulate muscle protein synthesis via the mTOR pathway, we need high quality protein. The highest quality protein, do you know where it comes from in nature? Mother's milk. And we're not all drinking mother's milk here. So, yes. So, a good way to get protein in is not only plant and animal, but whey protein isolate. Women always say to me, I can't eat that much volume. It's not volume to stick whey protein isolate in a bottle of water or in your yogurt and get 30 grams right off. If you put whey protein isolate in a cup of Greek yogurt, that's like 50 grams of protein.
You can try it right over there on the left
Right
corner.
over there. The other thing I think you need to recognize when I say that mother's milk has is the best protein or whey protein isolate, it's because it is the highest in leucine. There are 20 amino acids, 9 are essential, meaning you cannot make it. The most powerful stimulant for muscle protein synthesis is leucine, and you need at least 2.5 grams to start stimulating the mTOR pathway. So that's why it's important to pay attention to total grams.
And just to double click on that one for a second, if you're eating a high quality animal protein, rule of thumb, 10% of protein content is leucine, more or less. So if you're getting 25 grams of protein from like a chicken or beef or fish, you're going to hit the threshold.
That's right.
Plants, different story. Needs significantly more. It's not as high as leucine.
And it's right. For plant people, it's not bad because look at beef. They're all muscle, right? But you must eat all day long, right? So that's the difference. You can get what you need from plants, but
I think what's so cool, and just to talk about this again, is eating more. We're not eating enough. And we've done a 180 culturally, which I think is fantastic. Well, the answer is like, no, you don't need to do a detox or a cleanse. Let's eat more.
Eat quality food.
Yes.
Yeah. And sometimes I get a lot of questions online about how expensive good whole foods are. But the reality is if even a bag of white northern beans, which is my choice of beans and lentils, is pretty high quality, high fiber, can augment the other foods you're buying to get enough protein in.
And so let's talk about your sprints. You're famous for your sprints. And your VO2 max, for those not measuring, I started measuring my VO2 max, and I thought I was doing good, and then I met Vonda.
So VO2 max is the ultimate measure of fitness in your body. The calculation talks about oxygen diffusion from your lungs to your blood and how efficient your lung-heart system is in processing that. Part of VO2 max in elite athletes, specifically endurance athletes, is genetic. There is a component to that. So I know you're making a big deal out of my VO2 max of 50.
I'm like, it's impressive.
It's good. It's when I was 50, which was a while ago. I don't know what it is now. I'll do it again. But the reason I don't do it again is it kind of hurts to do it. But anyway, VO2 max tells you how healthy you are fitness-wise. Here's why it's important. This is the bottom line, because I am not a pro athlete. I'm a mere mortal athlete. There is a line in the sand called the fragility line. For men, it is 18 VO2 max. For women, it is 16. And it is that function when you cannot raise up from a chair by yourself. If you cannot do this until you die, that is one of the main reasons people need assisted living. So here's how it goes. If you do nothing else to train your VO2 max, which you can retrain, you are estimated to lose 10% per decade. So if at 50, I was at 50, and at 60, I'll be at 45, and at 70, 40, and that keep going, I never will reach the fragility line. But if we start out at 30, in midlife at 30, we will reach the fragility line. Now, the good news is you can retrain it. It's another type of training. It's going 4 minutes as hard and fast as you can go, which is different for each of us, and then 4 minutes of recovery, and then repeating that 4 times, once a week is enough to retrain your VO2 max. So it's not inevitable, but it's a critical measure, and lots of gyms will measure it for you, metabolic labs. So I suggest you do it just to see where you are and maybe use it as motivation.
And whoop. And both Aura track it now. I don't know how
I didn't know that.
It's directionally accurate.
Yeah.
It'll give you a sense.
It'll give you a trend.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the point you want to hit home, it's not about am I an elite athlete or not. It's you don't want to be if you are near the fragility line, you will lose independence, and when that happens, the odds don't look.
I don't know about you, but I'm pretty persnickety, and I want to do what I want, when I want it. And for me, that's enough motivation.
I love it. So to close, unbreakable. What does unbreakable mean to you?
So, Unbreakable is not only the book that's coming out in August, but building an unbreakable lifestyle is not only physical, which is what we've talked about. How can I shield myself against the time bombs of aging? Because aging is a natural process, but how can we shield ourselves? But it is also mental, because I talk a lot about building hardiness. Hardiness is the part of resilience that we can train like a muscle. Hardiness means that we think that we can have control over situations and not be the passive victim. Hardiness means that we are committed to a goal, whether it's never becoming frail or something else in your life. And finally, that we realize that we have agency to make small choices that can change our very trajectory of our health. That is the unbreakable mindset. And so that's what it's all about: physically strong and capable, mentally able to realize that we are not the victims of the passage of time.
I love it. Vonda, thank you so much. Always a pleasure.